Hello, this is Run the Numbers. Thanks for joining me for today's video, which is part of the warm-up series. So that means this video you'll see me in motion. We're on the go, walking through the beautiful, wonderful streets of Los Angeles, California. As well as this video is part of the 100 Videos Challenge. And what that is, it's a challenge I've made on my own, completely made up for the sole purpose of giving myself some extra motivation, a little bit of kick in the pants, so that I sort of force myself to put out a whole lot of content. And specifically what I want here to do is publish 100 videos in 100 days. Yes, get all those videos up onto YouTube, and for you to enjoy, my audience, I'm hoping you enjoy all this content that is really there to help you on your personal finance journey. So all this content hopefully can help you learn new things or resurface different things you already knew about, or whatever it may be. Hopefully you're just enjoying the content, and that's what it's there for. Okay, so with that intro being covered, let's dive right into today's video. Today's video is something of an update. Yes, it's an update because I've just recently published to YouTube part of the whole 100 Videos Challenge I just mentioned. Yep, I've put up a whole lot of videos, and one of those videos just recently I made was focused on the California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Home Loan Assistance. So that's the program, and I went into great detail. I'll put the link in the description for that particular video. So if you need to, go ahead and stop or pause this video, watch the video I'm talking about here. Again, link in the description. Go watch that video, get all the details, because I'm telling this video, I'm making this video here and telling more details, doing a follow-up, because I've already had some questions about it. I've had some people want additional clarification. So yes, I'm gonna go into more details. It was already quite a lengthy video, but yet people want to know more. And that makes sense, because that video I covered a very popular program, and so I could see why it being so popular, people want to, it kind of perks people's ears and they want to know more. So here's the video to tell them more. So okay, let's jump right into the main thing that people want to know, and all the details they want to know more about is what are the particular requirements to be eligible for this program. Again, it being so popular and people wanting to know about it, the thought is that people are interested to learn more details about the requirements to be able to get this program. Let's go into the things I've already mentioned. Now, I've already mentioned in this previous video that there are a couple of requirements that include being a first-time home buyer, also being a first-generational home buyer. Now, I kind of went into both of those two things. I'll give here more clarification and some more things I've learned. But I also have left out some other details. I did in my last video. Again, I wanted to cover as many things as possible, and I already was covering a lot of things in great length, but I did leave out that yes, there are additional requirements that include income requirements. So yes, you need to make sure that you are under the income cap to be able to qualify. And what is the income cap? Well, you're gonna have to look that up on your own, because that is determined by the county within the state of California that you're going for. So for the home that you're trying to purchase, what county it's in. So if you also remember the things I've mentioned in this last video, is that this program is actually going through something of a round two. This is, I guess you could think, phase two of the program. And the first phase was very popular. The money kind of came and went, almost felt like a snap of the fingers. It was gone. And in that first iteration, there were some different requirements, and you could say it was a little bit looser. So they've tightened a whole bunch of things. For one thing, there was not this requirement to be a first generational home buyer. And again, I'm going to go into more details about some things I found out about that. I've looked into that. But also, I just, freshly mentioned about income requirements. So yes, if you're used to what the previous phase was related to income requirements, because in that first iteration there were income requirements for that phase as well. If you're used to what those numbers were, if you're very familiar, well, in this second phase, the second iteration of the program, the income requirements are in fact a little bit tighter. They've lowered some of the income caps, which that's to say you need to make less than what you might have even thought prior if you got used to the old requirements. Okay, so that is to say a couple of additional things to mention of what these requirements are in general. One more thing in general to mention. Yes, there are requirements related to what they kind of call education requirements. No, I'm not talking about you need to have graduated from this university or college or master's or PhD. No, not education requirements of things you need. I'm talking about things you need to demonstrate. There are I think they're like webinars or classes. I'm not too familiar into this area of it, but this is to say you need to there are some hoops to jump through in terms of needing to get to receive education about the loan, and basically you need to prove that you know what you're doing with getting this loan. Okay, the other thing that I should mention, I don't want to gloss over this, is this whole program is about you getting a loan, and getting a loan, a big element to it, of course, is having the credit to be able to do that. So yes, there is of course a credit check, and you will have to have a certain credit score. And so a big question significant question I was asked about this is, in fact, what is the minimum credit score to be considered to be eligible? And the answer that I found out about that, the number I found, is that you need to have a credit score of 680. So keep that in memory, that you need to have a credit score of at least 680 or above, of course. So, okay, those were the in general things. Now let me go into a bit more of the details of some of the things I've already mentioned related to being a first-time homebuyer, as well as being a first-generational homebuyer. Okay, first, we will talk about the first-time homebuyer. Okay, as it may sound, by the title, being a first-time homebuyer, you would think that this is just gonna be your very first home. And in many cases, that is the case. But this definition is actually a lot looser than, again, this title would have you believe. And in fact, if you haven't, if you have not been a homeowner in the last 3 years, then yes, you can claim this title of being a first-time homebuyer. So yeah, you could have already had a home that you owned in your past, but as long as it was more than 3 years ago, that's okay. You're still considered a first-time homebuyer. Again, a little bit confusing, a little bit, deceptive, deceiving, all that. It's just, keep in mind that yes, you can qualify for this just as long as you are a first-time homebuyer, and that is, you haven't had a home ownership in the last 3 years. Okay, with that being the case, let's cover one more thing, and that is the first generational home buyer. And this is in fact the thing that I believe is disqualifying for my wife and I to be part of this, to be eligible for this program. Okay, the details there is that you need to have just one of the applicants. You could have many different applicants on your application for the program. That is to say, I could have myself, my wife, and maybe we want to bring others to bring into our home ownership. There could be all kinds of reasons to that, a relative or whatever it may be. But for the most part, I think the most common thing, of course, is for a single owner, as well as the most common thing, of course, is for a married couple. That's probably, by and large, if you look at the numbers, that's going to be the most common case. But I won't discriminate, and I'll just say that you could have many different applicants within your application for this home loan. And as long as you have just one of the applicants that qualifies as a first generational home buyer, so that is their parents, biological or otherwise, have not owned a home, and there's some definitions about what that is. You can get into all that on your own, but for the most part, you can think of it as your parents haven't ever owned a home, then yes, you are a first generational home buyer, and you just need just one. Now, again, that doesn't qualify for my wife and I. My parents are homeowners. My wife's parents, they're homeowners. So yes, we don't meet this qualification. Okay, but wanted to qualify that for home first-time home buyers, you need to have all the applicants qualify for that, and as be considered that. And for first generational home buyers, you have to have just one of the applicants that meets that eligibility requirement. Okay, with that being said, a whole lot of detail in there. Let me mention one more thing. I want to say the specific dates of the window. Now, I left this out of the information I put in the last video. Again, go check the link in the description if you haven't already. You need to go watch that video for all this really to make sense. But the whole idea here is I made this video and I left out the dates. I mentioned it was in April of 2024. I wasn't as specific. I want to be so specific that it could really be helping you, and that is the window for getting in your application and be considered for this loan is April 3rd to April 29th. I think I've got that right. So go check, make sure I've got that right, and get your application in for all this. And yeah, that's the information I want to give for you today. Hopefully all these details answered all these questions that I've been receiving. And I'm going to leave you there.